Good evening. We're going to go ahead and get started with our public hearing.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started with our public hearing. So Charlie?
We do have some slides for this, so it'll take 1 second to get that loaded up there. All right, members of the board, Superintendent Sprout, tonight I'm happy to present some information on the district's bonds, overrides, and capital plans. It's a requirement in state law that school districts give a public hearing on bonds and overrides at least once per year in September or October. So this will be our public hearing, and there'll be an opportunity for any questions or public comment at the end of this presentation. To start, I want to give a quick overview of what bonds and overrides are. So bonds and overrides are ways by which local voters in a school district can authorize additional funding for their district above and beyond what the state provides. Bonds can be used for major capital projects, things like building schools, acquiring land, renovating schools, or some other large equipment purchases. And overrides are ongoing funding that's above and beyond what the state provides that can be used for operations or capital, depending on the type of override. Bonds and overrides, because they are additional resources, are a very important part of the district's operations and also our capital plans. I'll start by talking about the district's bonds, and then I'll switch over to overrides and capital plans. Back in November of 2015, voters approved a bond authority of $42 million for the district. The district has now utilized that authority through sales in 2015, 2019, and 2023. And at the end of last school year, there was $18.2 million remaining in our bond fund, and that'll be used primarily to improve and expand existing schools. On November 5th, voters will be asked to authorize up to $50 million in additional bonds over the next 10 years as part of our longer-term capital plans. The district's use of bond funds is based on the project areas that were authorized by voters, and you'll see in this table the different areas that the district's able to use bonds. Since 2015, we've used $23.7 million of the bonds that have been issued. That, combined with the other $18.2 million still in our fund, totals that $42 million authorization. And you'll see that we used $1.3 million of bond funds last school year, and I'll talk a little bit about what that was for. Some of the major projects that have been supported by the district's 2015 bonds include Paseo Point School construction. That was the largest use of bond proceeds so far. The classroom additions over at Cheatham in 2020, a portion of the construction costs at EFGA in 2021, Desert Meadows Preschool in 2022, and also some school buses, Promethean boards, and security cameras. Last year, the $1.3 million that you saw in the previous slide was used for classroom renovations at Vista Del Sur Accelerated Academy. And you might remember from the spring that that total project was more than $1.3 million. So the 1.3 is work that was completed by June 30th. The rest you'll see covered by bond funds in the current school year for the work after July 1st. Going forward, future bonds will mainly be used for land acquisition, construction, and improvements to schools. I'll shift now to talk about the district's overrides. So state law defines a base funding level for every school district, and voters can then vote to exceed what's known as the revenue control limit in state law. For maintenance and operations, the override can be up to 15% of the revenue control limit, and for district additional assistance or capital, up to 10% of the revenue control limit. And overrides are local funding supported by local property taxes. The district has both an M&O and capital override at the maximum 15% and 10%. The 15% M&O override was last extended by voters in 2020, and that will be in place fully funded until next school year, at which point it would begin to phase down if not extended by voters this November. The 10% district additional assistance or capital override was last extended by voters in November of 2018, and that'll be in place fully funded until next school year, after which point it would expire, unless extended by voters, and that's on the ballot as well in November of this year. To give you an idea of the amount of funding that the district receives from overrides, it was $12.5 million total last school year, and that breaks down $7.5 million from the M&O override and $5 million from the DAA or capital override. On the M&O side, the override's funding free full-day kindergarten, special area teachers in art, music, physical education, and other areas, and competitive salaries and benefits district-wide to help the district attract and retain the most talented possible employees. On the capital side, the override supports curriculum, smaller maintenance and improvement projects, transportation vehicles or buses, some IT investments, and security and safety infrastructure. If you're doing really fast math, you'll see that all of those bullet points add up to more than $5 million. And the reason is that last year we had a few purchases that were not delivered by June 30th or projects that spilled over past June 30th. And so, for example, the $1 million for school buses carried over to this year's override spending. Some of the big projects represented on that list are Eureka Math curriculum, the 5 school buses that I mentioned. Under security and safety infrastructure, bulletproof glass having been installed at many sites, and also our card reader access to schools district-wide. And under the maintenance and improvements, small projects throughout the district. So flooring at MC Cash, new carpeting at a few schools, concrete improvements, things like that that are smaller than additions or new schools, but add up pretty quickly and are important to the school facilities. I also want to talk briefly about the state funding that we receive for capital. I mentioned the DAA override provided $5 million last year. We also received $3.9 million in state formula funding through what's known as the District Additional Assistance Formula. One thing to note on the DAA funding is that amount has only been a fully funded formula for 3 years, or 3 years ending last school year. For most of the decade before that, it was largely suspended, and as recently as 2017, 2018, only provided $362,000 to the district. And so you'll hear districts say sometimes that the formula is now being fully funded, but there'll always be an asterisk that there was a decade of very low funding and accumulated projects that districts are still digging out from under. We were also fortunate to receive $417,000 in building renewal grants for things like HVAC systems and water heaters. And our support services department is always applying to the State School Facilities Oversight Board to draw down as much state funding as possible for those kind of projects. We also have some larger projects coming up like roofing and exterior painting or weatherization, and the support services team will be pursuing state funding for that as well. We didn't receive any state new school construction funding last year, but we do expect to benefit from that next year for school number 10. And we'll be carefully watching a board meeting of the State School Facilities Oversight Board in December, anticipating that that school will be approved for funding and we can begin to plan for the construction. I'll talk very briefly about our future capital plans. Everything that we expect to do over the next 10 years is really driven by the growth in Laveen. And so the biggest investments that we'll have are acquiring land for 2 new schools and building 2 new schools. But through that process, we also need to expand and renovate our existing schools, increase some capacity here at the Laveen Education Center, and continue to maintain an adequate bus fleet, information technology, and equipment. In total, we see over $100 million of capital projects in our future. But the vast majority of that you'll see in the first 2 bullets is new school construction and land acquisition. And we have been managing our capital plans to be able to benefit from as much state funding as possible for those 2 projects. And so while you'll see over $100 million of future projects, we expect a substantial portion of that to be funded by the state. We also have some capital reserves that have been accumulated for projects, some remaining bond capacity, as I mentioned earlier, and then future bond authority that's on the ballot this November to meet all of the needs over the next 10 years. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about bonds, overrides, or capital plans, and provide an opportunity for comment. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, to left the public.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Martin from the public? As I know you're all here for the public hearing tonight, right? You're like, yes, ma'am.
He had mentioned 2 new schools. Would they be high schools or elementary schools?
So all of our schools are K-8, so they would be 2 new K-8 schools.
Any plans for high schools coming up?
So our district is solely K-8, so in this area, Phoenix Union is the high school district.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Elsa, roll call. Here.
Here.
Here. All right, if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag It is recommended the governing board approve the agenda as submitted. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, it is recommended the governing board approve the minutes of the August 15th, 24 regular board meeting and executive session. Motion? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And Dr. Sprout, superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson and governing board members. We have a lot of celebrations to do tonight. We'll be recognizing top scoring students. We have our Excellence in Ed celebrations. We have Employees of the Month and a wonderful classroom spotlight later. So it's going to be a great start here to the meeting. And we're going to begin with student recognition. So each year, all students in grades 3 through 8 participate in the Arizona Academic Standards Assessment, or AASA. This assessment measures a student's achievement in math and English language arts. We had 78 students across the district who earned a perfect score in ELA and/or math last year, which is a tremendous accomplishment for these students. So tonight, what we would like to do is recognize students who achieved a perfect score in either math or ELA for 2 or more consecutive years. So here we go. You ready, Ms. Abig? She will be the governing board member to greet these students. And students, would you please stay up here? Parents, we will have an opportunity for you to come up and get a picture as well. So these are students who earned a perfect score in ELA or math for 2 consecutive years, starting with Desert Meadows, 5th grade student, Dylan Stokesbury. From Levine Elementary School, 5th grade student, Shane Berglund. From MC Cash School, 5th grade student, Jimmy Belt. From MC Cash School, 5th grade student, Gabriel Ledesma. We have 4 students from Paseo Point Dual Language Academy who have earned perfect scores for 2 or more consecutive years. First, we have a 5th grade student, Asher Abeg. Getting congratulations from someone with the same last name. 5th grader, Alejandro Croucher Hill. Fifth grade student Sophia Lensmeyer. And fifth grade student Paige Schultz. Our next four students are from Vista del Sur Accelerated Academy. Fifth grade student Nathan Abbey. Fifth grade student Caleb Contois. And fifth grade student Aiden Flores. Now we are moving to students who have received a perfect score in ELA or math for 3 consecutive years. We have one student who's with us tonight from Vista del Sur Accelerated Academy, Kivi Malapitan. This student earned a perfect score in ELA or math for 4 consecutive years. 7th grade student from Vista del Sur Accelerated Academy, Viviana Alvarado. It's fantastic to earn a perfect score in one content area, but we also have some students who achieved a perfect score in ELA and math. And from Rogers Ranch STEM Academy, we have 8th grade student Michael Pilger. From Paseo Point Dual Language Academy, 5th grade student Aiden Halterman. And from from Vista del Sur Accelerated Academy, 5th grade student Bianca Alvarado. Ms. Zimbruski, do we have any late arrivals? Okay. Do we miss any students that are here, but we didn't see you come in? So parents, congratulations. I would love to put little trackers on your students and see where they go in the next 10 years. You're talking about the top students, scoring students in our district, and it's going to be so exciting to see their bright futures. But congratulations to you, families as well, brothers, sisters. We are all very proud. Let's give these outstanding students another round of applause. So next we are going to switch over to our Excellence in Education Awards. The Excellence in Education Award stands as the highest honor for Levine teachers, recognizing those who set the gold standard in instruction, leadership, professionalism, and most importantly, student academic achievement. These exceptional educators don't just shine in their classrooms, they make an impact through their extracurricular engagement, community involvement, and leadership. They inspire both students and colleagues with their unwavering dedication and passion. This prestigious award is limited to one teacher annually per school. Each of these remarkable teachers embodies a spirit of excellence, and it is with immense pride that I present them to you, governing board members, tonight. So let's celebrate their incredible contributions to Levine. Starting with Mr. Luke Smith. Mr. Smith's collaboration with science teachers has been instrumental in meeting and exceeding state averages in science. Mr. Smith's leadership of Levine's summer school program over the past 2 years has helped Levine students grow and achieve academic success. Mr. Smith serves as the STEM special area teachers. Congratulations, Mr. Smith. Next, from MC Cash School, third grade teacher, Grace Livingston. Ms. Livingston achieved an outstanding 53% proficiency rate on the third grade AASA in 2024, setting a new record for the highest proficiency rate ever recorded at Cash for any grade level in any subject. As a key leader of the, that's pretty good. She's also a leader outside of the classroom, assisting with the School Booster Club, and has made a tremendous impact in her school community. Congratulations, Ms. Livingston. From Vista del Sur Accelerated Academy, 7th and 8th grade social studies teacher, Ms. Brianna Wright. Ms. Wright's exceptional organizational skills and keen eye for detail make her a standout leader among her grade level team. She's also taken on the inspiring role of mentoring new teachers, welcoming them into the Vista del Sur Academy. Congratulations, Ms. Wright. From Cheatham Elementary School, we have second grade teacher, Jenna Getz. As a dynamic grade level leader, Ms. Getz plays a pivotal role in guiding her team to success. Her leadership of the PBIS committee has been a game changer, and her stellar management of our summer school program, of the Cheatham Summer School Program, for 2 years running has made a significant impact. Congratulations, Ms. Getz. Next, we have kindergarten teacher from Trailside Point Performing Arts Academy, Shannon Haley. Ms. Haley has not only surpassed the district median conditional growth in both NWEA math and reading, but has also outperformed the district median achievement percentiles. Her exceptional results reflect her dedication and excellence to ensuring student success. Congratulations, Ms. Haley. Next, from Desert Meadows, we have cross-categorical behavior teacher, 7th and 8th grade teacher, Mr. Irving Barraza. Mr. Barraza's dedication and expertise have led his students to consistently show some of the highest growth at the Desert Meadows School campus on NWEA assessments. Mr. Barraza attends all school events. I've seen him everywhere, and has been a positive ambassador for our school and community. Currently, he is working with Urban Farming Education to secure a school garden, and he is part of the technology committee that is responsible for their signature program. Congratulations, Mr. Barraza. We not only have great teachers in our district, we have great student services employees, and one of those groups is our psychologists. And our next Excellence in Education recipient is our psychologist from Rogers Ranch STEM Academy, Dallin Bjorknes. Mr. Bjorknes' incredible advocacy for student needs and unwavering support for teachers in tracking meaningful intervention data has made a significant difference, helping over 100 students receive crucial interventions to boost their academic growth. Congratulations, Mr. Bjorknes. Next, fourth grade Spanish teacher from Paseo Point Dual Language Academy, Isis Leon. Ms. Leon exemplifies outstanding leadership by setting the highest standards for herself and others. From her unwavering commitment to conducting her classes entirely in Spanish, to her thorough preparation for high-level PLC meetings, she consistently models excellence. Congratulations, Ms. Leon. And from Estrella Foothills Global Academy, fourth grade teacher, Ms. Deborah Vasquez. Ms. Vasquez's exceptional teaching skills captivate every student in her class with an engaging and dynamic approach. She masterfully integrates reading, writing, and social studies, making learning an exciting and enjoyable journey for her students. Congratulations, Ms. Vasquez. And again, with extreme pride, we have over between 400 and 500 certified staff. It is our distinct pleasure and honor to recognize our Excellence in Education recipients. Let's give them another round of applause. We got family members, family, if you'd like to get a picture, come on up. All right. We have a late arriving student. I just read what is given to me. Oh, here we go. Okay. So we have a student here who just arrived. I'm just reading what they gave me, but apparently he says that he was busy playing basketball and beating Cheatham. Sorry, Cheatham. Don't, you might want to be careful walking out if you see Miss Pashley. But this student has received a perfect score in math or ELA for 3 consecutive years, so he deserves to come up here. His name is Levi Glenn. Levi Glenn. Congratulations. Next, we have our employees of the month. Our first employee of the month, our classified employee of the month, is Ms. Crystal Gray. Ms. Gray is a bookkeeper in our business department and is known for her diligence, dedication, and obviously in this job, it's crucial, her precision. If you walk by her desk, she will be paying invoices to ensure accounts are up to date and in line. She also calls vendors on behalf of employees who need extra assistance. So catch this, Ms. Gray is responsible for all of our vendors that fall within the letters A through E. And if you're thinking, that means she does the Amazon accounts. So imagine how many Amazon orders you've done this month and multiply that by about 500, and that's what Ms. Gray takes on each month. Despite having a full plate, she still greets you with a smile, a positive attitude, and an offer to do more. Thank you, Ms. Gray, for your tremendous impact and for being such a positive contributor to the Levine team.
Saying thank you to Crystal. She's such an amazing employee. She's hardworking. She is self-driven. She always is willing there to help anybody and whoever comes to her for assistance. She goes above and beyond. I always tease her because when she was hired, she was in the transition of myself and Charlie being hired for the district. And the moment we interviewed her, we knew that we had to hire her right away. She was just an immediate, we got to get her. And so I always remind her that she was so good that she actually got hired before we did. So, but I just want to say thank you and congratulations.
Our certified employee of the month is Angela Matute Sanchez, our Spanish teacher at Vista del Sur Accelerated Academy. It's been said that attitudes are contagious, and for those who know and have the privilege of being around Ms. Matute, we can confirm that this statement is in fact very true. Spend 1 minute, 1 class period, or 1 day with her, and you will find that her positive attitude has also impacted your attitude. You can't help but walking away like you can overcome any obstacle thrown your way. In addition to her amazing attitude, you will find that Ms. Matute is one of the hardest working teachers around. She will put in the time and effort to ensure her students see great academic growth. Thank you, Ms. Matute, for being such a dynamic employee.
So I have a lot I want to share about Ms. Matute, but I think that the nomination spoke really well to her positivity and work ethic. So I'm going to tell a little bit of a story that happened earlier this week that will speak to how much she loves every single student. She wrote me an email on Saturday, very worried about one of our kindergarten students because the first couple weeks of school, Grandma would meet them every day, and she hadn't seen Grandma, and the student was walking, and she couldn't see where they were walking to. So she asked me how the student was getting home, and she wanted me to follow the student home to find out if they made it to their house, and yes, of course, they made it to their house. But that just exemplifies the hard work and dedication and care that she has for every student at Vista. She's one of the most positive people I know, one of the most hardworking people, and we are just so lucky to have you. So thank you for everything.
This year, Levine has introduced PLC Wednesdays, or Early Release Wednesdays, across all of our schools. This new schedule, while resulting in early dismissal on Wednesdays, has been designed to provide a consistent routine for both teachers and parents. Importantly, students still benefit from a full 5.5-hour, 5.5-hour instructional day covering all content areas. The dedicated, uninterrupted weekly time for teachers and leaders and all of our instructional staff to focus on professional learning communities is particularly valuable as we continue to roll out our new math curriculum, and is a key feature, that's a key feature of our PLC Wednesdays. Curriculum nights are taking place at each of our schools. This gives us the opportunity to share important information with our parents about our curriculum and how to access resources at home. In addition, parents learn about the various ways Title I impacts us and the opportunities this funding provides for our students. The Levine School District has seen a 4% increase in student enrollment compared to last year, showing strong community support for our schools and the overall population growth occurring in Levine. And board, and for those who stay here, for our later presentations, you will be hearing more about our infrastructure plans to accommodate our growing school district. We are thrilled to launch the 24-25 Math All-Star season with great enthusiasm and ambition. In September, we will start, actually on Monday, with our Math All-Star assemblies at each school, inviting all 3rd and 4th grade students to participate in my club, and they better all participate, and they will, by doing that, they will be taking home a Chromebook, and the hope is that they will complete 60 minutes of math practice per week using a system called ALEX, which adapts to wherever the student's math ability is. Last year, our students collectively completed over 850,000 minutes of extra math practice, 850,000 minutes. Building on this success, we are setting even higher goals for the current year to advance our students' math skills further. And we look forward to another successful season. I would love to see it get up to 1 million this year. And so here we go. We recently completed, you heard about our state test, but we also do tests throughout the year to see how your students are doing. And we recently completed our district assessments using the NWEA assessment and Ames Web Plus. Both of these assessments provide results and insights into students' performance and growth in math, reading, language arts, and science. We take that data into our PLC times, and our teachers and staff begin to dig into the data, as you know, Ms. Anderson, to determine student and class level instructional areas of strength and growth opportunities. And now, we alluded to a new math program that we have adopted for all students in this district. We spent $6 million to purchase the best math curriculum for your students. It was a choice made by our teachers and our parents working together. And so I'm very excited that Rogers Ranch STEM Academy will be featuring that in our classroom spotlight tonight. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Caitlin Grakarowitz, principal.
Good evening, Governing Board members and Dr. Sprout. My name is Caitlin Gurkiewicz, and I'm the principal of Rogers Ranch STEM Academy. I'm thrilled to be here tonight to feature our newly adopted math curriculum, Eureka Math Squared. Tonight, Ms. Oenis, one of our instructional coaches, and our 5th grade math teacher, Ms. Leary, and our mathematicians will explain and demonstrate one of the 11 instructional strategies embedded within our new math program. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Oenis now to expand on the strategy, Critique of Flawed Response.
Almost your turn, I promise. All right, good evening, governing board members and Dr. Sprout. We are excited to showcase teacher and student implementation of our new math curriculum. This curriculum is truly what the students of Levine need to increase their math proficiency and conceptual understanding. Eureka Math Squared is a robust and authentic curriculum that challenges our students to become the best mathematicians they can be. We have already seen a great impact on student engagement and math achievement at Rogers Ranch. Eureka contains 11 high-leverage instructional routines. These routines are clearly structured and designed to help students productively engage with each other. They also help students develop crucial skills while building knowledge. They also allow teachers to informally assess students for real-time assessment. In a moment, you will see Ms. Leary's class engage in the Eureka instructional routine titled Critique of Flawed Response. This routine is designed to enhance students' critical thinking skills and allow them to have ownership over their learning. This routine helps them become more mathematically resilient and helps them learn to communicate effectively with rich math discourse. Ms. Leary is a valuable member of our middle school math team at Rogers Ranch. She is a joy to go through instructional coaching cycles with. She is a reflective educator and is always looking to fine-tune her practices. As a result of Ms. Leary's passion, her students thrive in an environment where they feel comfortable to take risks and grow. And with that said, come on.
All right, good evening, governing board members and Dr. Sprout. I am Ms. Leary, the 5th grade math teacher at Rogers Ranch STEM Academy. On behalf of myself and my students, we are honored and proud to be here today to share some of our math practice with you all. So I would like to first introduce our mathematicians. So first, Javel, Aria, Cameron, Eugene, Eric, JC, and Emmanuel. All right, I'm gonna have them go sit with their board member. And Mr. Thomas, or Ms. Emmanuel, you can just sit there. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so we have fully jumped into Eureka Math Squared, and like Ms. Oina said, we'll be showing you a critique of a flawed response procedure. So please direct your attention to either the board or the paper if you are with a student. Board members, you will be participating with our 5th graders as they explain to you where Toby made his mistake in his mathematical thinking. Everyone else in the audience, I encourage you to put yourself in a 5th grader's shoes and try to find the error in Toby's response.
Sure. Around this part. Okay. Is it in the addition? Okay. All right, so. Okay.
Then we'll go over one more decimal point. Doesn't this move over one more decimal point? It should be 0, 0. Just one.
Would guess where the problem is?
Not too tight.
So she said right in here.
How's it just very different. So this should be over.
All right, where is the problem?
That two should be way over here, right? Okay. Now we have to figure out our strategies.
Yeah.
You like this math better than what you had previously?
Okay.
Why? It's easier. Easier to understand it. Math is important. I did a lot of math. Very a lot of math. You know what my job is?
Okay.
Do eye exams, basic high school. I did a lot of math. So it's good that you guys are doing this. So you guys are going to show us how to fix it?
All right, we are going to move on to our next step. So in my 5th grade class, we use estimation to check if our answer is reasonable. It is important to do this because students need to assess whether or not their answer is realistic. Students, go ahead and show your board member how we use estimation and another strategy to check our work.
So since we're gonna use 2, so then 24 is closer to 200. And then 112 is closer
Okay.
to 100. And then 200.
So now we just have to deal with our teams and ones, right?
That's okay.
So that's your guesstimate right there. We're done. That's your guesstimate. Or we're adding to that. Okay.
This is what you're estimating. Okay.
Gotcha.
So is that kind of your estimate? Is that your estimation? That the answer is going to be about 20,000. Okay.
So the strategy that I use is standard I'm gonna do 2 times 40, and then I'm gonna add the 1 on top, which is 9. And then I will do 2 times 200
Choose 400.
and then I'm gonna X this out, so I don't use it on
Yeah.
this one, and I'm gonna put a 0.
Okay.
400.
And then I will do 9 times
100 times 10. Is that 2,000?
But it makes a lot more sense.
Right. Basically, whenever it's times 1, you just repeat the same number, right? So you're going to do 229, but you're going to do your decimal point number because you're using the tens. Gotcha.
And
Wow.
and then I would X this one out, and then put 2.
Now you're working in the hundreds spot.
All right. I'm going to wrap it up. I know 5th graders might not be fully done, But I want to thank everyone for your participation today in helping me and my amazing students showcase our wonder mathematical skills. Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Leary and students. Our newly adopted math curriculum has increased the rigor and critical thinking in all grade levels campus-wide. The instructional routines found within the program can be implemented across curricula and are also directly aligned with our STEM signature program, with the M being math. Thank you for hosting us as the first classroom spotlight of the year.
I got it wrong on my calculator. Yeah, I know.
Parents, what wonderful children you have. What a pleasure. We need to track these guys too.
Yes.
So my person was Eugene. Where are Eugene's parents? Okay, right there. He's like, what's 400 times 100? And 400 times, and he was firing things at me. I started getting really nervous, but he did a great job breaking these problems down, and what a wonderful way to learn. So thank you, students. Thank you, parents, for entrusting your children with us. This is a real honor tonight.
Great. Well, thank you. We're going to, parents, thank you for all of your hard work with your kids and their achievements tonight. And you deserve a good thanks as well, because there's a lot of work to do. So we are going to take a really brief break. So a brief break. If you would like to go, it's your opportunity to leave. Otherwise, you're welcome to stay for the business part of the meeting as well. Let's go ahead and move on to, where's our other board member?
She's
We have a quorum still.
We still
Hanging
have
on
a
by a
quorum.
thread.
I'm out.
Yeah.
So we have a presentation and discussion on the 23-24 educator effectiveness labels.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson, and as I told our admin team, we have presentations galore tonight, but we'll start off with Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. Good evening, governing board members and Dr. Sprout. Thank you for giving me the opportunity tonight to present some information on our performance pay plan, our educator effectiveness labels, and last year, the 23-24 staff survey results. All the topics that I'm going to present on tonight somehow intertwine or have embedded in them our employee commitments. Anytime I have an opportunity to speak publicly in front of the governing board or our staff, you heard it at the Welcome Back celebration, we like to highlight our employee commitments. These are commitments that we not only speak about, but we align our actions around and that we can be held accountable for. The first employee commitment is that of impact, that if you work in the Levine School District, you'll have an opportunity to make an impact in children's lives and the lives of your colleagues in the community. We commit to providing our staff members the highest level of support to do their job at the highest level. We commit to providing opportunities for advancement. And this year we've taken that, not only advancements in a promotion job, but advancement in the current position that you have. You know, and I reflect on that in my own position. I'm entering year number 5, and I can constantly learn something new every day. And with PLC Wednesdays and a new math curriculum, there's great opportunity for advancement and moving everybody forward in the organization. We commit to having competitive salaries and benefits. We commit that if you work in the Levine School District, you're going to be recognized and celebrated. And we added a new one this year, and that is well-being, that we don't just care about you as employees, but we care about your well-being as a person. So I just wanted to quickly touch on those. So I'm going to quickly go over our performance pay plan from the 23-24 school year or last year. I'm like, wow, Linda, Miss Abeg. It's the first time. Anyone else? Have a good night. Thank you. So the goals of our statutorily mandated performance pay plan, you can see them there. It's to recognize teacher performance in the classroom, distribute funds in a balanced manner, boost morale, or encourage improvement, and having a plan that's clear and easy to understand. Last year, the maximum allocation for performance pay was $3,800, and that can fluctuate year to year because it's based on sales tax revenue or Prop 301. And just to note there that teachers, instructional coaches, and counselors are eligible for performance pay. And again, the state sets the criteria for which employees are eligible for performance pay. So last year we had 3 areas of performance pay. We had annual evaluation performance pay, which consisted of $1,000 for the completion of the required formal observations. We had educator goal plan performance pay, which gave performance pay to employees that had an educator goal plan at the beginning of the year. They set 2 goals, a professional goal and an academic goal, and those were monitored throughout the school year by the site administrators or school administrators and the teachers, and then signed off on at the end. And then we had leadership performance pay, which is up to $1,800 or $30 an hour based on extracurricular activities, things you do outside of the school day, such as tutoring, coach a sport, run a club. And that performance pay is paid out during the year as it's completed. So the $2,000 in performance pay based off of the annual evaluations and educator goal plan were paid out on August 2nd when teachers returned back from school. The average performance pay last year was $3,561 for a total of just over $1.5 million we paid out in performance pay last year. I noted our starting teacher salary up there, the 56.1. If you combine that with the $3,800 in performance pay, you come out to a number of $59,900. I almost wished I would have lobbied Charlie a little bit harder for $100 on that starting salary, so when I go out to recruiting events or job fairs, I can say that the Levine School District starts at $60,000. Sounds a little bit better than $59,000, but you know we're getting there, and I say that jokingly, but it's a great starting salary, and will again intertwines with our employee commitments. So the 24-25 brings us into this school year. That plan, we are not recommending any changes to the 24-25 performance pay plan. A couple weeks ago, we had a performance pay committee meeting that was represented by teachers and administrators from every campus, and they unanimously approved. Later on this evening, you'll have a chance to approve the 24-25 plan as was just presented to you. That concludes that portion of the presentation on performance pay, and pending any questions from the governing board.
No?
All right, well, keep on going. The next portion of the presentation is an overview on our educator effectiveness labels. Educator effectiveness labels are once again a mandate that requires us to have 4 levels of effectiveness labels or categories, and those categories are listed there in front of you. Teacher at the end of the year is either labeled ineffective, developing effective, or highly effective. Another mandate is that the calculations of that label include student achievement data, and that is a district local decision whether in the calculations you have 20% up to 33% of the label include student achievement. I also want to remind you that last year was the first year that we did not tie performance pay to teacher effectiveness labels. So in previous years and historically, those two are intertwined, and those now run on separate tracks. So teacher has an educator effectiveness label, but it's not tied to the performance pay and the information that I presented to you earlier this evening. I also want to remind the governing board that last year we implemented a brand new formal observation instrument, and we implemented a new way of calculating educator effectiveness labels. So we didn't have any data from previous years like we historically had to kind of get a gauge on how those category of effectiveness would land. I will tell you, based on the results, I will be sharing with you and making a recommendation for changes for this school year. So last year, having a new instrument where we changed from a number system to a meets or not meets on 10 elements within a formal observation, and counting student achievement data, 97% of our teachers landed in the highly effective range. That was a big change from historic data where consistently approximately 1/3 of our teachers fail. We anticipated that, again, not having data to do some if-then statements to see how that would land, gave us those results. As I just mentioned, this year we're recommending some changes to a plan that if we were to use the data from that, we were able to run some if-then statements based on formal observations and student data. If we're going to adopt the changes or you approve the changes that are being recommended, this is how the numbers would have probably a more accurate representative of our more than 400 teachers and where they are on the continuum of effectiveness labels, and more in line with our historic data. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Catherine Crary, our data analysis, for running these numbers. She works closely with me on this information and does a great job, and we were able to make changes to get us more in line historically without disrupting everything we have in place, and I'll show that to you right now. We made just some small changes in order to get back to some historic or probably a better representation of where our teachers are. One is the score range. Last year that was an 80 to 100%, so we changed it to a more traditional scale, similar to our students with an A, B, or C. We're also recommending that instead of last year's 80-20, where 80% of the label is based on the observation, that it's 70, and that we use 30% data to, so just by making those small changes, again, we want to still stay consistent, and we think we're on the right track, but just making some little modifications gets us back in line with this data right here. So last year, again, it was an 80-20 model, 80% of the formal observation. Each of those 10 elements were worth 8 points. Now they're worth 7, so there's where the 70% or the 70 points out of the 100-point scale will come from. The other change that we've made, we'll continue to use median conditional growth percentiles, which we have used since 2021. We've made it to, in order to get the 30%, you'd have to have median conditional growth of 65 or better. And just a reminder, using that data, more than a third of our teachers would have came out highly effective using this scale that's in front of you right here. There should be a correlation between student achievement data and highly effective teachers. Remember, median conditional growth, 50% is just average growth, so anything above that. And if you want to do simple math calculation, if a teacher received all 70 points on their formal observation and they had conditional growth that was 55 or higher, they would have 24 points there. So 70 and 24 would give them 94 points, which is over 90, and would make them highly effective. So you can see the breakdown there, or maybe they could even have 55 or higher in one subject and 45 to 54 for the 12 and 9. It's still 21 points. On top of the 70 would give you 91. So we still have lots of opportunities. And I'm going to just go back to the if-then statements, that if we were the way the data fell last year, we would have over a third of our teachers highly effective. That concludes the presentation on educator effectiveness labels, pending any questions from the governing board.
In the new data, I noticed that the developing almost doubled with the new criteria. What is our thoughts on why is that?
Yeah, so the developing on the new criteria, so a developing teacher, excuse me, oops.
Yeah.
A developing teacher would need 70 points,
Okay.
right? So if they were to receive 70 points, they're at least guaranteed a developing. And that's probably representative of a reality of, we have 450 teachers, and when you look at the continuum and you look at the data and compared to instruction, that's probably a more accurate representation.
What are some of the descriptions of the elements? There's like 10 elements there?
There are 10, so they're all instructional,
instructional.
and there's one professional. So
Okay.
one has professional responsibilities, checklists on attending professional development, attendance, serving on committees.
Sure.
And then everything else has to do with, basically we put it in the format of a lesson plan. So a hook or an anticipatory set, your materials are aligned to the standard. Number one, making sure that, goes back to that opportunity myth, making sure that we're teaching, first of all, the lesson is aligned to a grade level standard, and then it goes into instructional strategies such as student-to-student interaction, teacher-to-student interaction. Are they using real-time assessment and monitoring, adjusting during the lesson? Do they have some kind of closure ticket out the door? So there's all best practice instructional routines that were kept from the INTAS teaching standards, which our learning observation instrument was originally developed through McKESA.
Any other questions?
All right. The staff survey, the last portion of my presentation is on this last year's staff survey results. So with this is the second year that we've done a staff survey, and we have found it very valuable. Some districts might have other organizations that do surveys of their staff, and sometimes school districts might be reluctant to do that because they may not want the answers. But we love the feedback. We know we're doing things well, but we also know we have areas to improve on. So we've just started this. This is the second year, so I'm going to just show side-by-side pie charts of where we were last year and where we are this year, and I'll quickly go through those with you. So the number in white is just the percentages of respondents that answered strongly agree or agree to the survey questionnaire. So the Levine School District is a great place to work. 94% of our staff strongly agree and agree with that. 90% of our staff feel they have a safe workplace. That's up about 1% from last year. My school department has a positive climate and culture, so we're up about 11% in that area of staff members that agree or strongly agree with that statement. This is one of our employee commitments, receive the level of support I need to do my job successfully, so we're seeing a consistent 77% there. Open and transparent communication, a consistent response from the previous year, 79 to 78. My job allows me the opportunity to make a positive impact, so 96% of our staff, that is one of our commitments, that if you work for the district, you're gonna have an impact in this community. My school department recognizes celebration, so this is a good one for us to reflect on, and Dr. Kaplinger, our new Chief Communication Officer, and Dr. Sprout and I have had conversations about this and really putting a focus on this area this year, and we'll continue to reflect and wonder why that had a more than 5% decline in that response. So that was great information for us to reflect on. Opportunities for advancement, I just talked about, this year not only emphasizing opportunities for advancement in a way of a promotion, but in your own job, moving forward in your current position, getting highly skilled and better at your current position. Here we saw an increase, over a 5% increase in professional development, and I'll tell you, we'll continue to do this survey every year, and what I'm really looking forward to next year is seeing how our staff responds to our early release PLC Wednesdays. The informal data that we received just in conversations and visiting campuses has been very positive, and then seeing that those PLCs roll over in the classroom, as well as the professional development our staff is receiving with the Eureka Math Squared curriculum. My school effectively handles student discipline problems, so this is one that we targeted last year with that 51%. We've seen an increase, and we continue to monitor and look at, there's not a correlation between the number of office discipline referrals and the satisfaction with how discipline is being handled. So, it doesn't mean that the more referrals we write, the more satisfied we are with strongly agree or agreeing that discipline problems are handled effectively. So we continue to reflect and move forward on that. Opportunities for parents to be involved. We know how important parent involvement is to our schools and our community, and we've seen a slight increase there. We pride ourselves on well-maintained facilities. Look good, feel good. Safety, obviously, is a high priority. Fiscal responsibility is another thing. The public hearing that we did to start this meeting, as well as the presentations we've given to be transparent, especially heading into an election. Our salary schedule is competitive, similar response to last year. The compelling vision for the future. We're looking at demographic studies. We're trying to get the information out. We know what the next 10 years looks like, and with schools and programming. So we're happy to see that number there. Just some quick takeaways. Overall, continue to have positive responses, and we can always take areas of improvement. Like I said, we'll continue to do comparisons in the future. And I put that last one up there, survey takeaway on staffing. And how does a survey talk about staffing? All of those questions align to our employee commitments. And we have over 1,000 employees in our school district. I have them broken down for you right there. 465 of those are represented by certified staff, where we currently have 2 vacant positions, a special education resource position and a 7th grade social studies position. No other district, no other HR director or person who oversees HR could stand in front of their governing board and say that right now. I guarantee you that, because I've talked to most of them. More impressive, although it may not seem like that because you say 20 to 2, but is our classified staff. And I put less than 20 because that changes daily. I push through 4 hires a day, but we may get a resignation tomorrow. They're not under a contract. They can give a 2-week notice and leave, but we've never had vacancy rates that low. Usually that number hovers between 60 and 80. We've even seen it at 100 coming out of the pandemic of 493. So that just shows us, that gives us the support we need on the front line with bus drivers, crossing guards, cafeteria workers, front office staff that are in our schools working with our kids or around the district. But to have less than 20 vacant positions in the entire district is just an incredible number. It's hard to wrap your head around if you don't live in this world. We have 45 administrative positions that are all filled, 100%, no vacancies. And then I didn't put guest teachers in that number. So that 1,003 does not include guest teachers, and that 61 are active guest teachers who have covered an assignment in the last 12 months. And so what are the survey results? How does that affect staffing? Well, it goes back to our competitive salary. We know we're attracting employees, not teachers. You notice I didn't use the word teachers. And then also retaining them in these kind of numbers, which again, it's that celebration and feeling safe and having an impact, having a strong climate and culture. So I included that staffing slide in there just to, I think it strongly relates to our staff survey and our employee commitment. So pending any questions from the governing board, that concludes my presentation. Yes.
Not yet, because she's the HR person. You're right to ask you the question.
Yeah,
But,
no, I welcome.
I assume these are anonymous, like Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey.
It isn't
what do
anonymous.
they staff?
That's a great question. So the question was, this is done through a Google survey, and it does not collect their email address. It is done anonymously.
I'm very passionate about engagement, but so does this, besides this forum, is the data that you guys collect shared with the staff back? All staff, not just the staff that's
Yes, it'll be shared so Dr. Sprout twice a year goes out to every school to meet with the staff. We've already done 2, and in our second semester visits, prior to them taking the survey again, I will share all the results with the staff and go through similar pie charts or the graphs that I shared tonight and give all of our staff these survey results.
And then, like project plans about like maybe our lowest 3 survey results, do you guys do focus groups or anything to bring in that staff and say like, how can we make this better for the next year? So there's input from the staff, and I think like, we can take surveys and like, what are we doing about it? I think it's important for the staff to know, we're committed to this, and this is what we're going to do to make sure that we can improve in these maybe 3 underlying areas.
Yeah, that's a great question, Ms. Getzke. We have not gotten it down to the feedback on the 3 lowest or the lowest indicators. We looked at it as an administrative team. That's what we started our admin retreat this summer in May at the end of the school year. We had the results. Our administrative team on our retreat, each school or department we looked at the district results, and then we also looked at it in comparison to national data of burnout and retention in the profession. And we did a whole professional development using our survey results, and all the schools and departments got theirs on reflection and plans on how we move forward in improving those. Some of them, hopefully we'll see that in the coming year, but we have not done focus groups with staff members, but it's something we'll definitely consider.
I think the feedback was really good, anything better.
Any questions for them? I think we're good. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, next we have a presentation on the ESSER 3 overview.
Nancy Ramirez will be coming up to give you a presentation. Actually, I'm just let you run with it, Nancy, and give you an overview of basically how we entered ESSER and how we're leaving it. So we'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Is my presentation up? Okay, can I just send it real quick?
Yeah.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Sprout and guests. My name is Nancy Ramirez, and I'm the Director of Federal Grants here at the district. So tonight I'll be giving you an update on ESSER 3 and how we used some of these COVID relief funds. First, a little bit of history. ESSER 3 was approved on March 2021 by Congress, and it gave money to all of the schools. It gave money to really provide high flexibility with the purpose of addressing safety, social emotional needs, and learning recovery due to the pandemic. And these funds are available up until the end of this month, September 30th, 2024. That's when they'll end. So we have already spent our allocation. So our full allocation that Levine received was just shy of $10.25 million. And here's just a breakdown of how those funds were spent. I did give a presentation last year that went into detail on how we were going to spend the funds and finish them off for the previous school year. So now that we're done, we can really see that 56% of the funds were spent on instruction, and that included staffing personnel. So this is things that are in the classroom working directly with kids. So it included classroom teachers, instructional aides, and those sort of personnel. Also, we had supplies that included a lot of our curriculum. So some of those curriculum adoptions that we did were purchased out of ESSER. And then summer school as well. With support instruction services, that's the next highest category. So that category was 30% of the entire allocation. And that also included personnel as well. That was one of the major parts that were paid out of this grant. And that was mostly SPED staffing that happened, and it was over the 3-4 years that we had the grant. So also supplies, some professional development. So these are things that really support the classroom instruction. So professional development for teachers, professional development, some for instructional coaches, and so forth. Some of that personnel too was also, some of the instructional coaches, we were able to code some of their funding into ESSER. And then the next category was support admin services. So there was more the administrative services to help with this grant. So, and maybe administrative services that don't necessarily support the classroom instruction. So it was staffing to help support the grant, but also bus drivers were paid out of this grant for some of these years too, and professional development for non-instructional staff as well. ESSER did have a required set aside. So out of the $10.25 million, we were required to set aside at least 20% of that grant to directly impact instruction in evidence-based ways. I'm happy to report that instead of just spending 20% of that grant, we were able to spend 33% of the grant in ways that met that requirement. And this is just a few examples of the things that we spent the money on to meet that requirement. So now life after ESSER, we were really, the last few years, just planning on how we were gonna taper off ESSER. And now that we are just at the end of it, we have really moved forward to not using those funds anymore. Everything has been moved to other funds that we have. And then as we continue, when we're looking at purchasing new things, just looking at all of the funds that we do have available to us and what we are able to fund out of the available funding. Any questions?
Any questions? No?
So without the funds, you don't expect there to be like a heavy area that's going to be impacted, or?
The past 2 years, we really had a lot of meetings maybe with council to really look at where we were going to see the areas that were going to be impacted. So we were able to absorb a lot of those into other funding.
Board, I would just like to say, when you inject $10.2 million into a school district of one-time spending, it's a wonderful thing, but extricating yourselves from $10.2 million of spending or of grant money is equally difficult. School districts right now are struggling with that. I would also like to say that you've probably heard, if you watch the news, all the complexities of receiving federal funding and making sure that you are handling it appropriately, that you are using all of it. That has been led by Nancy Ramirez. And this was not something that we knew was going to happen 5 years ago, but Nancy and her team and our admin, our business office, our HR department, but Nancy has overseen one of the most complex funding programs that we've ever experienced. And so I'd like to give her a round of applause for her work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, I think our last presentation of the night is our 10-year infrastructure plan.
Charlie's bringing some very colorful slides to the, just to make sure. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It's Charlie style here. No, but we have a very important presentation to you. As we talked about earlier, one of the things that we want to do is be prepared for the growth in this community and to be the best school option for our community. Charlie has done a masterful job on that, on the infrastructure side, and so this is our 10-year update.
And in the finance world, keep it simple is always my goal. We make school finance very, very complicated, so the slides stay bare bones. Members of the governing board and Superintendent Sprout, tonight I have an update on our 10-year infrastructure plan. This is something that we last looked at in September of last year, and when you're looking out 10 years, there isn't drastic change from year to year, but we'll provide some updates on the projects that are part of our plan and zoom in on a different piece of it than we did last year in talking about those projects. There are a few slides that overlap my earlier presentation on bonds and overrides, so I'll go pretty quickly through those. Of course, Levine is growing, we know that, and that's what drives the majority of our capital needs over the next 10 years. In order to meet those needs, we know we'll need 2 new schools, to acquire land for those 2 new schools and continue to invest in other capital areas. And we expect that to cost more than $100 million over the next 10 years. So these are the big categories that were mentioned in the earlier presentation and that fall within our 10-year infrastructure plan. Last year when we reviewed this plan, we talked a lot about the third bullet there and our needs here at the Levine Education Center. Tonight I'll just have a brief update on that and a few other categories, and we'll spend a little bit more time talking about some projects that fall under expanding and renovating our existing schools and our new building standards for Levine. So first, to provide a quick update on a few of the other major projects in our 10-year infrastructure plan, we do have 2 new schools planned for in our future, and with school number 10, we've been working with architects this year and a cost estimator to design that school. We expect the design process to wrap up in December of this year, and then for construction to begin in 2025, 2026, again contingent upon funding from the state and a funding recommendation from the School Facilities Oversight Board in December. School number 11 is a little bit further out on the horizon. That's projected to begin construction in 2028 to open in August of 2029. And so the step for that school right now is to make sure that we have somewhere to put it in the land acquisition process. Last board meeting, land acquisition for that school was approved, and we're currently in escrow for that property right now. We'll close on that property in December, pending voter approval of authority to issue up to $50 million in bonds, which is on the ballot this November. Then the closing would be shortly after in December. I also want to give a quick update on the expansion here at the Levine Education Center. The core of that expansion is building a new transportation building, and we can't do that until there's some site modifications that would allow us to build here at the Levine Education Center. And so work this past year has been preparing the site for building and ensuring that things like drainage, utilities, entry and parking can handle the expansion here. That design's been completed with a civil engineer, and the permit work has been done for that. We expect the site modifications, the construction of that to begin in early 2025, and then be followed shortly after by construction of the new transportation building. That's also in the design process right now, and our Executive Director of Support Services and Transportation Director have been meeting with architects and touring some facilities in neighboring districts to get a sense of what would work here in Laveen. The smaller renovation of the Support Services Building, or Building D, is on the same timeline and is in discussions with an architect as well. I'll shift now to talk a bit about our 2024 Laveen building standards and projects that will come from those building standards. So this spring, our support services team evaluated all of our existing schools against the new building standards that were presented back in June of 2023. As part of that process, they've identified several larger projects that are common areas of need across all of our existing schools, and also many smaller site-specific projects that will be unique to individual campuses. Some of these projects will begin this year, and we intend to plan these and complete as quickly as possible. So this is not something that will be spreading over 10 years. Most of these improvements to standard will be done much faster than that. The first major project that'll be part of our renovations to standards and the new Laveen building standards is secure fencing at all of our schools. The building standards call for 8-foot non-climbable fencing, and right now we have a few schools that have that in certain places around campus, but no school fully meets this standard. The cost to implement this standard at all of our schools is expected to be $4 to $5 million, and that's to do the 8-foot non-climbable fencing around the entire perimeter. And this is one that we are in the process of getting more specific quotes from vendors, establishing timelines, and we'll install this as quickly as we can. Another component of the Laveen building standards is shaded student drop-off and pickup areas. So the areas where students are queuing for buses or waiting for parents to pick them up at the end of the school day will need to become shaded as part of these projects. That's one that'll fold nicely into another standard, which is to update the front entries of our schools to reflect what's actually going on within the school building, to create a very obvious, welcoming point of entry, and updating the front entries won't be a purely cosmetic project. It's going to be looking at the needs for shade, seating, signage, and other campus improvements, and doing those in a consistent way, complementary way, to make the fronts of our schools better reflect what's going on inside the schools. Some of the other improvements that'll be part of our renovation to standard, making sure that we have LED exterior lights on all of the campuses. That's something that was part of our 5-year capital plan this year, and some of those projects are underway this year. Smaller projects like making sure there's water bottle filling stations near every outdoor play area, and then playground improvements and landscaping refresh on all the campuses. So making sure our granite is contained within a curb, filled, that all of our landscaping is maintained, not obstructing buildings, and looks good to the community as well. So this presentation tonight was an annual update on the overall 10-year infrastructure plan, status of some of the major projects, and then an idea of what the projected costs and funding would be for all of these projects. Going forward, we'll have some monthly progress updates on specific projects, so an idea of the plan is to install secure fencing at every campus, but some notes on which schools have been started, which are lined up. That'll become part of the smaller monthly updates moving forward. Also, approving contracts and any procurement decisions that fold into this plan, those will of course continue to come to the board individually as those procurement determinations are made. One other project that I wanted to mention tonight is solar covered parking. So right now, 5 of our schools are generating solar power with covered parking spaces, 4 are not. And so EFGA, Vista del Sur, Paseo Point, and Trailside have not had solar covered parking. We have been working on a plan to get that installed on those 4 sites, and we expect to have a contract on the board agenda next month to get that installed. That is something where the energy generated from the solar largely offsets the cost of the project within 10 years. It takes a little bit more than 10 years, but I will have the specific details on that and show how the financing looks when we meet next month. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about our 10-year infrastructure plan.
Good, thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Charlie just became very popular with 4 principals with this solar covered parking. And thank you to all of our team. I see Robert Jacobson back there. I know, Eric, you're going to be very involved in the in some of the improvements here. But this is the result of an entire team of people that have come together to really ensure that our campuses continue to shine for our community. And so thank you, Charlie, and to the entire team that's participated.
All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All right, do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. All right, do we have the governing board to approve the 24-25 classroom site fund performance pay plan?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, it's recommended the governing board approve the 24-25 educator effectiveness plan for teachers.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And the governing board approve the 25-24 educator effectiveness plan for school administrators. Do I have a
Motion. Motion.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Great. All right, any comments from the board?
I got to visit 5 of our schools today. I got a nice shirt from one of our schools. Thank you. I have to do laundry for a couple of days. I appreciate my guests that helped me get through the schools. They had a good time. I just realized that Tim Thomas is a celebrity in our community. Got to see Eureka at work. It was amazing. It looked like calculus to me initially. I mean, kids are learning at a different way, I guess. You know, that's that new math, but it was impressive, very impressive. The principals, I'm just so awed by you guys, the passion you guys have. So happy the team that we have. I mean, you guys don't know how much you guys mean to our community. You know, being out in the workforce in our community, I see it. I see the parents talking to me and telling me, you know, I've been here since 2007, and it wasn't like this in 2007. I was having parents coming to me, and I had nothing to do with the school board, and they were like, my kids are being bullied. I'm like, well, I'm just the eye doctor in town. You know, so being able to see how we've changed from C's and D's to A's and B's, I mean, it starts with the principals and the teachers having the belief in the principals, but the principals being there for the teachers. So I'm just so in awe of what I got to see on the campuses today. I wanted to stress on my visits and the schools that I'm going to see in a week or two, 3 things. I want to know where our mental health is right now for our teachers as well as our students. I want to know what are we doing about security, and I want to know what we're doing about bullying. Those are the 3 things that I really know is always going to be an issue for us. I was greatly encouraged at Australia where we're doing some pilot stuff with security, so I'm hoping that goes, you know, district-wide, but very, very positive. And I know we saw the stuff that happened in Georgia, and we want to be able to mimic some of those in those situations. We don't want to see those situations, but we want to be in a position to handle them. And I know we have a team of people that are making sure that we're going to do that. And finally, I actually got back on the VCIS's panel, so you guys have your eye doctor back.
I think you read some of my comments over here. No. No, excellent. There's a lot of really great celebrations and information tonight, and so it was really exciting to see the kids that were up here, just how excited and engaged they are in the math. And that is attributed to all of your amazing teachers that you have on campus, getting them excited about that. And I know it's not just these few kids that were here tonight that are super engaged with it. I know it's all the kids at the schools. That has been evident as I have walked around classrooms. So keep up the good work with that. And also just wanted to say, just to thank you leaders for being here tonight. It's a longer day, but like Torrance said, we just truly appreciate all that you're doing for the kids and the families in your schools and within our community. So we see it and we appreciate you very much. And with that, we have a future board meeting on October 2nd. And now we need a motion of adjournment.
Motion.
All those in favor? Aye.